Welcome to this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Frank Iglesias, real estate entrepreneur, doing business in several states, and we'll learn from him how to navigate fix and flops, rentals, and new construction with courage, tenacity, and strategic insight. Welcome to the show, Frank.
Thank you, AJ. Pleasure to be here. How are you?
I'm very good. You are welcome. Welcome to the show, Frank. Welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we are going to talk right now. We'll learn from you about successful real estate investing. In that backdrop, we'll learn from you. But before that, let's understand a bit more about you, about your background, about your journey. You've shifted from IT to this real estate business. So let us know a bit more about all that things so that we know we are listening to.
Yeah, absolutely. I was a former IT professional for 15 years and enjoyed the journey, right? We got into it back when Windows 95, 98 was like new. So it was an exciting time in that industry. Not to say it's not exciting now, but it was really cool, right? Because people were getting PCs and getting laptops, and mobile technology was becoming a thing, Palm Pilots and all those things that we consider outdated. But back then it was really exciting. And so we got to see that whole evolution. And by the time I left IT, which was 15 years later, we all had iPhones in our pocket. So, it's like we're all walking around with supercomputers. So it became, quite honestly, a bit boring, right? And we had started looking into real estate prior to leaving IT. And so it was fresh, it was new, it was exciting, but also it was seen as a wealth vehicle to build with. Whereas IT, of course, yeah, you could create an amazing career in IT, but at the end of the day, you were still working a job. And the idea of becoming an entrepreneur was very exciting. So we left the business, worked for a great company, but I left because, quite frankly, I was bored. I just I had done my time, I guess, and I enjoyed every minute of it, but it was time to do something different. So we got into real estate, and it has been a roller coaster ever since.
Absolutely. Roller coaster uh, ever since. So, why real estate? Means you could have gone into anything. Is real estate much more easy? Is it less boring? Is it does it give more money? What would you like to tell? A lot of people want to get into real estate. People say, it's passive income. Work only for a few hours, you get a lot of money, and you can do whatever you want. In this background, help us understand why this real estate.
Oh, why real estate? Well, at the time, like many of us, we all understand real estate to some degree, right? We live in a house. So most people have a little bit of understanding of what it takes to live in a house. Or maybe you don't live in a house, maybe you live in an apartment, a condo, a townhouse, but you live in a structure called a home. And so we all have this loose idea. And for some of us, it's a very fascinating one because we've seen these structures that we call houses, townhouses, whatever, that are magnificent in some, right? You'll see a magazine, maybe you're looking at a publication, he says, oh, that's beautiful. You're driving down the street, oh, that's beautiful, right? And it captures the eye and it resonates with our soul in a way that's like, oh, right. So I think that's where a lot of the interest comes from, and it's so easily identifiable. Now, for some people, what the industry has done and continues to do this day is when you are talking about helping people in real estate, it can be very sexy, right? Really cool, right? It's hip. It's, oh, I build houses. Oh, I fix houses. Oh, and they look beautiful. And you look at the pictures and you show it off, and that's all fine and good. Nothing wrong with any of that. The challenge, though, is to do real estate effectively and, quite frankly, do business effectively. It takes a lot of work, it's a lot of sacrifice. Entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. Okay, it is. You're going to have some challenges. The only question is how big. And usually they're going to be really big, probably the biggest challenges you face outside of, medical conditions and something that's of that nature. Okay, so it can be quite a strain on you. Uh, yes, financially it can be a strain, but mentally it can be quite a strain. It's going to push you. It's going to grow you. Is real estate easy? Well, I'll never say it's easy. It's not. It sounds good for marketing, right? To sell programs and courses and whatever. It's not. There's nothing quite. Even though real estate is not rocket science, I would never say it's easy. And you're dealing with people, and people in general are. Let's face it, we're a little bit complicated. And when you have assets that have multiple zeros after the first digit, things can get real crazy. Sometimes it makes sense, and a lot of times it doesn't. But business at the same time, business can get crazy. When you start a business, and maybe it's not real estate, maybe it's a service business, maybe it's a product business, right? You're putting your heart and soul into that thing. It's hard work, it's sacrifice, and you don't know that it's going to work. You might have saw it work for somebody else. You might have saw the commercial that said it worked, but you don't know if it's going to work for you. And I always think of the book by Ryan Holiday, The Obstacle is the Way. He has a chapter in that book that I think is incredibly insightful because of its sheer accuracy. And it says, be prepared for none of it to work. Now, think about that. Do you want to go into business knowing that you need to be prepared for none of it to work? You could do everything right and it still not work. And that's a reality that can happen to you. Okay. Now, it doesn't mean you give up, right? But you can't be, and that's a hard reality to learn. I've already lived it. So for me, it's not hard. But when you've never lived that experience where you did everything right and it still didn't work, it's like, you're like, oh my gosh, what happened? And, naturally as humans, we want to blame, but blaming never solves anything. You want to be the victim, that never solves anything. So it's a maturing process that you just got to know if you're going to be an entrepreneur, real estate or not, you're going to plan for it to work. You're going to work hard. The odds are in your favor. If you take massive action, good things will happen. But in case it doesn't, you also need to be prepared for that.
Right. What worked for you? Was it your IT background, understanding of market, understanding of real estate, or were you very hard work, or were you lucky? If I understand, you started after the 2008 crisis, or you had begun by then?
No, that's when we started, 2008, 2009. Yeah, the housing world was burning down, metaphorically speaking, but we didn't know that. I worked at a job, I was doing my IT thing. The IT, the business I worked for was fine. They were navigating that storm and they were okay. And when we looked for our first house, we're like, man, look at all these cheap houses. How cool is that? We didn't understand the pain people were going through, losing homes, and that, like we didn't understand any of that. All we understood was, hey, I went to this real estate seminar, and they said if I go buy a foreclosed property, we can make money. And so that's what we did. Like we didn't really understand the whole sellers. So we were so naive to what was really going on. Once the crash settled down in 2011, 2012, which is about around where the bottom actually was, that was around the time we actually started to understand a little bit of, oh my gosh, what just happened? Oh my, right? So it takes time. And that's the thing with real estate is everything in real estate takes time. So when you ask me the question, what worked for you? The one thing that worked for us ultimately was sheer tenacity. Sheer tenacity. I totally understand why people would get involved in real estate, it not work out, and they quit. I get that. There's some people that have done things that, quite frankly, I can't fathom that most people would go, I can't believe someone would do that. But when you go through tough times and you're tenacious and you get through it, what it's done is it's taught me a level of empathy that I would not have had otherwise. To realize the highs can be fantastic, truly humbling, truly gracious, truly amazing, but the lows can be really dark. And it's that's why I call it a roller coaster. I'm like, imagine the biggest roller coaster in the world, and the highs really can be that high, truly spectacular. But the lows, you're like, goodness gracious. And one of the other things that we've learned that real estate taught me, probably more than anything else has taught me this, is I've learned to basically not be judgmental of anything. You truly never know what's going on with that person standing right next to you. You really don't. Like you think you do, and we think we got it. We're so smart. We figured everything out. When you hear somebody's story, you're really hearing like 5%. It's very, very, very rare that you truly know all the pieces of the puzzle of another person's life. And so through real estate, what I learned was, man, Frank, don't judge anybody. Just don't. Like you might have these notions of you think you know, but the reality is no matter how much you think you know, you really know only a tiny bit of the story. And it's helped me to really become very empathetic, non-judgmental, and I've learned that as those skills got better, my ability to help people increased.
Absolutely, absolutely. So a lot of people talk about, passive investing in real estate. Does that exist? What form does it exist, or it's an illusion? What would you say to that?
The infamous passive income question. Does passive income exist? I will tell you it does, but not the way it's typically sold. Typically, passive income is sold as go buy a house, rent it, the tenant pays the rent, which covers your mortgage, you make money, or if you paid it cash, you're just getting a return, whatever. The reality is being a landlord is not passive, period. It's not. It's an active business. It's just not as active as flipping houses or building houses, but it's still active, just to a lesser degree. And if anyone that's dealt with a professional tenant, as the phrase goes, you know firsthand it's not passive at all. Okay. Now, in what respect can it be passive? So people will go to multifamily. Well, multifamily is still not passive because someone's got to manage the building. And if it's a small building, it's probably you or someone on your team. If it's a big building, well, now yeah, you may not be managing the tenants, but you're managing the property manager. Again, it may be more passive, but there's still a level of activeness to it. Where I have found that it's truly passive is if you get involved in, say, a syndication on a larger project, that is definitely going to be more passive. But there is still even some active work to that. Well, what's that? Well, how do you know which syndicator to put your money into? That actually takes quite a bit of research to get it right because if the thing about real estate, no matter where you go in real estate, what you don't know can and will hurt you. So being educated is very, very important. Having coaches is very, very important. So if I'm going to put a large piece of money in syndication, great. I got to really know who is the syndicator, who's the operator, so that if I put my money in, it actually will be passive. If I make the right choice, it'll be pretty passive. If I don't make the right choice, it could be a problem. And I'll give you one example. There was a gentleman I interviewed on my podcast recently, actually. And what they do is they invest in real estate for medical facilities. And when they invest in, and I thought that was very fascinating because that's a subset of commercial. But what was really cool about it was, Frank, when you rent, let's say, a retail space, your phone company, your toy store, your clothing store, they might be doing 1, 2 year, 3 year master leases, all of that, triple net leases. But when you rent to a doctor, the doctor's signing up for 10, 15, 20 years. Doctors don't want to move. They don't want to move their practice. They're going to park. They put a lot of money to build out that office, whatever it might be, whatever their profession is, and they don't want to move. It's extremely expensive for them to move. They build their clientele where? Around that community. Like you don't generally see doctors saying, you know what, I'm going to move my practice from here to an hour, 2 hours away. It just rarely happens. And I'm talking about the US. Maybe it's different in other parts of the world. But so that is a really passive opportunity to invest in that project because those tenants, they don't really move. So as long as that tenant, that doctor has got patience, and we all get sick, so he's always going to have patience, and he does a good job, that's pretty passive. So I thought that was a really fast. It got my brain thinking. I'm like, oh, I like that. Now that's sounding pretty passive. That's pretty good. I like that. So it does exist, but we've got to be really, we got to do our due diligence and really dig in to find out what our level of activity is going to be in that investment for sure.
Right, right, Frank. So, what is the best way to make money in real estate?
The best way to make money in real estate, depends on your goal. Like, what's the goal? Are you trying to make a little money? Are you trying to make a lot of money? And what resonates with you? Like, a lot of people get into fix and flip because they see the TV shows and they see you can make money. But here's the reality: they hate it because it's not in alignment with what they enjoy. So, the first thing I would tell you is if your goal is, here's the way I'm going to make the most money in real estate, you might be setting yourself up for massive failure because the way to make money fastest may not be in alignment with what resonates with what you enjoy. And if you absolutely hate it, we all know life's too short to be doing something we hate. Yes, sometimes we got to do things we don't enjoy. That's anything we do is going to have some of, hey, we got to do a few things we don't like in this process. That's anything. But if we truly don't enjoy what we're doing and we're doing it again and again, let's say you make the money. If you hated it, was it worth it? I think it's well documented. A lot of people say the answer is no. Okay, there's no shortage of very successful rich people that have, and on the extreme end, taken their life, right? Like, was it really worth it? And let's be real, you don't know that you're going to be here tomorrow. So, do you have time to be doing something you don't enjoy at your core? So, the best way to make money in real estate, figure out what is it you love to do? What's your goal? And then figure out which of the real estate strategies, because there's plenty, lines up with that. Too many people have gone down the fix and flip route and ended up hating it because it wasn't who they are. Too many people went and bought rental homes to get passive income, right? Only to find out they really hated being a landlord. Okay. You got to figure out what are you about? What do you like? What do you enjoy? And do the strategy that's in alignment with you. Because all of the opportunities will make money. Some are faster than others. That's true. But again, if you don't enjoy it, that's going to be the farthest thing from your mind.
What is it that you love in real estate? Do you have a particular preference that makes you happy every day?
I enjoy helping people. At the end of the day, I really enjoy coaching. Uh, I like creating. Coaching and creating is what I found I enjoy the most. Uh, I enjoy wholesaling because you get in and out. It's fun. But I really enjoy creating, which is why I enjoyed the new construction piece and some of these remodel projects. I like the creation side. And I also like the coaching side because even before I was in real estate, I used to teach music, enjoyed that. I did consulting when I was in IT for a while, which is effectively education. I just enjoy that space. I enjoy helping people see possibilities that they didn't see. And I've appreciated people that have helped me see things that I didn't see. Those are the parts that I really enjoy: coaching and creating. are really fun. So
Absolutely. And podcasting also. You're actually helping people learn from there.
yeah, it's interesting. I got into podcasting a year ago. Very happy with it. I mean, by the end of the year, we'll be at almost 90 episodes, so we're really happy with that. And but the biggest thing I've learned in podcasting is just simply just a couple of words, the words wow and humility. Wow, in the sense of people truly have amazing stories. Humility, in that it is truly amazing, not just that they have amazing stories, but how much we can truly learn from others if we just get out of our head and listen. So it's been truly a humbling experience to do it. It's been really, quite frankly, quite a blessing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There is much to learn about real estate from you, Frank, and I'm sure a lot of people would want to connect with you, learn more from you about your, about your coaching, about the way you do things. So, what's the best way for them to do so?
So a couple ways to get a hold of me. There's always the phone, 678-408-2228. In the US, I'm easy to find on social media. Just Google Frank Iglesias Real Estate Atlanta. Like, you'll find me. I'm on all the social medias: Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. So you can message me through any of those channels. Um, you could go to my website, frankiglesias.com. And also, I have a coaching site. It's called REI Coaching with Frank, reicoachingwithfrank.com. That is something that we're recently putting out. So we're building that piece out. So I'm pretty easy to find. Pretty easy to find. Be happy to connect with people and hopefully be a value add. And I do give out I do a 15-minute free consultation with anybody. So just say, hey, tell me what's going on. How can I help you?
Absolutely. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.